Hi Aries, and welcome to your reading for January 2019. Happy New Year. My name is Melanie and this is a general reading for star sign Moon or rising sign Aries. Today I'm using two different decks. I use the Tattoo Tarot deck for the main reading there, and towards the end of the reading I pull a card from the Dreamtime Reading Cards deck, which I use as oracle cards, and I'll be pulling one card from that deck to get an overall theme, and we'll be reading from the little booklet here, and hopefully that will wrap everything up. The Dreamtime is the Aboriginal Australian spiritual belief system, and they're beautiful cards. Yeah, so I'm just going to jump right in. We have 5 cards for you. The first card that came out representing the past and past energy is the Chariot. The second card representing the present situation, current issues, is the Knave, otherwise known as the Knight of Swords. The third card for Aries this month is the Death card. The fourth card coming out there, and the third card being about possible obstacles this month versus possible helpful tools this month. The fourth card is the Five of Wands. Blah. Maybe I need coffee. And the fifth card there representing the outcome for this month. You guys got the Four of Swords. So what do they all mean? At first glance, these cards together, except really the end card, which is going to make sense, represents, I see, a lot of action, a lot of activity, a bit of strife perhaps, and towards the end of the month or at some point in the month you're really going to need to rest and recuperate and restore yourselves. So it looks like a bit of an action-packed or an intense month, and perhaps there's a reminder there to really look after yourself. So just breaking it down, the first card, past energy, you guys got the Chariot. So obviously that is a card of action, of conquest, of sometimes a bit of obstacle or ordeal, but it's also about power and control, discipline, action, sort of strong driven energy, triumph, greatness prevailing, sometimes against overwhelming odds. It can represent travel, it can mean going places, or you've sort of been places, whether that's physically or metaphorically. It's a card about maybe you've needed to try and balance out that need for action and pace and speed, and not tiring yourself out or burning yourself out, versus balancing going too slowly that you don't get where you need to go in time. It can mean that you've been through a bit of a rough patch, and you're sort of receiving some lessons in life perhaps as well. It's quite a young energy, of wanting to, beat the competition, exploration and expansion, things moving quickly, but sometimes also going through a struggle, which hopefully has made you stronger in some ways. But it is, like I mentioned too, about needing to balance. We can see in the cards there the black and the white horses, so the light and the dark, and needing to balance out that sort of real hasty energy with going too slow, and also balancing out sort of that determination to get ahead and to sort of get places with with pacing yourself. So whatever's happened in the past there, it seems like it's been pretty busy, pretty intense. You've been pretty driven, and are still sort of driving yourself forward, and there is a suggestion to certainly persevere with that, because you're on a journey of sorts, and hopefully you're learning something really good and helpful from that journey. So where you are now is in January, you have the Knave of Swords, which is otherwise known as the Knight of Swords. So this to me is another card of action, of young, kind of very driven energy. The Knight of Swords charges forward, is another real movement card here. So it's like where you've been in the past, you're still sort of very much in that energy now in January. There's certainly a degree in this card of fearlessness, of being mentally restless, of a lot of exuberance and sort of going out there into the world, perhaps a little bit too fearlessly, like with, this is a young man there carrying a sword. Needs a little bit of wisdom and experience behind him before just charging right out there into the world. This card can be about things unknown and unseen. It can be about being quite outspoken and skillful, but and quite good at handling controversy. If there is something like that going on in your life right now, it's a positive card, making positive changes in your life. Being a court card, this could also represent a person in your life, a young man, a person who, well, could be a young woman as well, any one of the air signs, so Libra, Gemini, Aquarius, or someone who has kind of the energies of this card, a person who's quite mentally alert, very curious, impressionable, loves to investigate, has a lot of drive, a drive for transformation. This card is about transformation as well. And being sort of a youthful card, again, it's about learning lessons in life, in some ways similar to the Chariot. So there's sort of similar energies going on here for you guys. So you're in quite an active state still, I would say. The third card coming up for Aries this month is the Death card. Okay, and this is in the position of obstacles. What may come up as an obstacle this month. So look, Death, this is not a bad card at all. Ultimately, the Death card is about change. Transformation, transition, endings and beginnings. The death of something old, or not so old, but then the birth of something absolutely brand new. So look, it can represent a loss, it can mean depression, stagnation, feeling immobile. It can certainly be about perhaps something has ended that you didn't want it to, and you're in a state of bereavement or grief. You're sort of learning to handle disaster or failure of some sort. You're possibly recovering, or there will be sort of a recovery from some sort of shock. It does suggest that something is going to change that's really out of your control, and I would say mostly death and the death of things is out of our control to an extent. It's a card though about and this is sort of about bigger energies going on than what we know of and what we control. The universe sort of taking control here. But with death comes like rising from the ashes, new things. So expect new growth. While something may well be ending, and that certainly could feel like an obstacle this month, what can you take from that? The way we interpret things is key, I think, in our life. We have very little control over what happens to us sometimes, but what we can manage is how we deal with it, and how we think about it. So it's our reaction to change, and your reaction to a necessary change that may come up this month is going to be key. And I don't think it's the change or transformation per se that is an obstacle. It's how you handle that, okay? Which, can be really tricky, but we all have choices in the way that we cope and manage with things that happen around us. Is there some way for you to see the new growth that will occur as a result of whatever is changing and transforming in your life, even though it may feel quite difficult? There may be, fear. We often fear change, despite the new opportunities that are there that will show up for you guys. Okay. Fourth card there in your reading is representing possible helpful tools this month, and that is the Five of Wands card. Interesting that that's in the helpful tools position, because the Five of Wands card typically is a card of conflict, of disagreement, of competition, diversity of opinions, tension, too many choices, too many cooks in the kitchen, I would say. Whilst there's conflict, it's not like brutal, it's more just sort of verbal disagreements and people not seeing each other's points of view. and there's kind of, I think there's a sense of people losing sight of the original goal here, and no one's and there's no real purpose to the fighting other than, no, but it should be this way, no, you should see it my way, and you should see it my, it's just ridiculous. And then no one's really listening to anyone else. So how can this card be helpful? It can also be a card about problem solving, about brainstorming things as a group, maybe whether this is a family group, a work group, friend group, online group, I'm not sure, hobby, some sort of team or program that you're involved in. This is a card perhaps really strongly suggesting you've got to work together now. Maybe you being on a committee, establishing some sort of committee or working group to achieve a positive outcome would be good. Maybe with the death card, there's something around you that you're involved in changes or ends, and this causes a bit of strife and conflict between people, and then it's like, well, what the hell do we do now? And everyone's got a different opinion and different experience on how to go forth, and somehow people need to come together. It is a card about lots of sort of scattered energies and stuff, so I imagine that can be quite draining. So yeah, the message really that could be helpful is somebody perhaps needs to take charge in that situation, or people just at least need to agree that they will disagree and then come up with some sort of unified way forward in whatever is going on. The fifth card for you guys representing the outcome for the month of January, and like I said at the beginning, I'm really not surprised. It's the Four of Swords. So this card represents retreat, needing to have a break, needing to recuperate, peace after war. So, I think coming from the Five of Wands card, the Death card, and you've got those two cards at the beginning with a lot of action and activity, maybe you're going to be a little bit tired in January. You're going to need a bit of a break. You're going to need to relax, retreat, recuperate, some solitude. This card too can represent grief. It is possible with the Death card and then the Four of Swords card that there may be an actual physical loss in your life this month, a death of someone around you. It's only possible. Okay, so obviously if that happens, I'm terribly sorry for your loss, and then that there will be this natural state of grieving and needing to take really quiet, gentle time for yourself. Grief is a journey unto itself. It is possible. I'm thinking, the Death card, then you've got that Five of Wands card. Maybe the death, if that is a physical death and it's in kind of a positive position, maybe this is the death of someone or something that kind of had to happen. Maybe there was a lot of suffering going on, possibly after the death. This causes a lot of conflict amongst the people who knew this person with the Five of Wands card, and then it's kind of like, oh boy, I need to really rest now. Grief takes the wind out of you. It smacks you right in the heart, pulls the rug from under you. So whether that's a physical death or a metaphorical death, the death of something else in your life, I really hope it is about transformation in some other way. By the end of it, you're going to need to rest. You're going to need solitude, and to sort of gather yourself again to... it is a card about, although feeling mentally quite secure and being able to sort of organise yourself and your ideas, but it's very much also about the need to renew yourself, renew your mental energies, write your thoughts, think about things, feel things. It's a card though that suggests things are temporary, a temporary state of rest and retreat kind of thing, and from there you're going to build some solid stuff within you and within your life again. Often we can't, it's very hard, I think, to come up with new thoughts and new endeavours, I would say, if there's a lot of action and conflict in your life, a lot of activity in your life. We need to retreat and get that solitude, to meditate, to just take ourselves quietly away and find some peace, it's from that space of stillness, I think, and slight emptiness that new things pop up. So this card is suggesting that you will need to be doing that, certainly towards the end of the month. So I'd love to hear from you guys if this resonates at all. Couple of distinct messages there. A lot of action and change. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is shuffle these cards from the Dreamtime Reading Cards deck. I'm going to, oops, move over, shuffle them on camera. I'm going to pull one of these for a bit of an overall theme for the month of January for Aries. Lovely Rams. Aries for January 2019. Thank you, universe, for one final message, an overall theme for lovely Aries for January 2019. You guys have this one, Dragonfly, which means clarity. There's your dragonflies. I think these are lily pads or something, I'm not sure. Beautiful dot painting, very typical of Aboriginal Australian art. So now I'm just going to go to the page and read Dragonfly or Clarity. So dragonflies come in an abundant rainbow of colours and sizes. They range from only a few centimetres in length to ones as large as your hand with a wingspan of around twice that. The dragonfly starts life as a rather unattractive larva that lives in water before it evolves into an adult and gains wings. The period spent in the darkness of the water equips the dragonfly larva for its time of flight and freedom. The dragonfly is associated with the element of air and represents clear thinking and clear knowing. To me, that comes in there with the Four of Swords towards the outcome at the end of the month. So, its transparent wings offer insight and transparency to questions and situations you may be facing in your life, which I think you will be facing with the Five of Wands, that you'll be needing transparency and it won't immediately be that way. So due to its ability to hover and move quickly, the dragonfly is also associated with seeing things from different angles. That makes sense. With the Five of Wands, there's lots of different points of view, I think, going on. So the dragonfly, its silent, fleeting dance encourages creativity and freedom as it moves with grace and purpose. Its transparent wings shine with truth and answers. If a dragonfly has shown itself to you today, know that it is a blessing and that the answers you seek are not far behind. Colour can also hold answers for you, so take note of the colour of the dragonfly as well. So being about clarity, and maybe things have definitely been, with all the action and activity and movement and then sort of transformation and change this month, things have been feeling not very clear at all, and then with a bit of disagreement there. But it is suggesting that overall clarity will be found through this this muddy kind of state, but really only through quiet rest and recuperation, which I think is really going to be really important for you guys. I think it might be a very tiring month potentially. So on that note, please take care of yourselves, Aries. Thank you so much for reading. I hope it has resonated. Take what you like and leave the rest. And I'll see you back in February, hopefully. Bye.